For those who do not know, Donald Trump has planned to open the coastal plain of the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge for oil and gas drilling, a national environmental jewel. An area the size of South Carolina, untouched with a flourishing ecosystem and home to more than 200 species of birds, 42 species of fish, and 45 mammal species, including more than 120,000 head of caribou, is being put at risk to make the United States the most powerful producer in the world. As I go over what the Wildlife Refuge is, the Donald Trump administration's plan to achieve America's energy dominance, and why it is vital to keep the land untouched, I ask the audience to critically think about this question. Why are we risking one of Earth's last untouched wild places, and is it worth it? The Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, also called the ANWR, is America's serenity, and it has been protected by former President Dwight Eisenhower since the 1960s. It was later expanded in the 1980s by the Alaska Interest Lands Conservation Act, which is also known as the heart of the refuge. This refuge protects threatened wildlife species and is home to the porcupine caribou herd, which the indigenous Greenwich people have relied on for clothing, food, and shelter. This land has remarkable biodiversity, and many animals, for example birds, come from all around the world to migrate to and from to feed and reproduce. Still, there is one problem. There may be 4.8 to 11.8 billion tons of oil underground. As mentioned earlier, the Donald Trump administration plans to drill in the ANWR. Back in 2020, CGTN reporter Ro Ruttenberg explained that under ANWR there is a gold mine of oil that can bring in jobs, economic opportunities, wealth, and energy security. Alaskan officials support this plan and are known to be environmentally responsible in oil development compared to other places. But before this plan was placed, Donald Trump did not know this bill existed. Coming straight from the source, one day, a friend of mine was in an oil business called. Is it true that ANWR is in the bill? And I said, I don't know. I don't care. Who cares? What is that? What does that even mean? His response was careless and clear as day. Even when he learned about the ANWR, he was only enthusiastic about the energy production and revenue it could bring. There was no concern about what it could do to the environment, and I think that speaks volumes about his only thought being money. Environmental critics say there is a potential for 4.3 billion metric tons of CO2 to be released into the atmosphere. In simpler words, if all the oil is extracted and burned through planes, cars, etc., 4.3 billion tons of CO2 will be released into the atmosphere, worsening global warming, causing rising sea levels, and melting Arctic areas, all the while harming wildlife. If we allow this plan to go through, we will see the environmental damage it causes. Drilling could pose risks to wildlife as their fur or feathers can be coated in the oil, destroying their insulation or water-repelling abilities and increasing hypothermia. Oil can also be poisonous when ingested and can kill plants. When huge tractors come, they create loud noises that scare away these beautiful animals. What I've learned in my small animal science class back in high school is that animals do the following three. They either move, adapt, or die. One source we see this in is a documentary series on our planet. It can be seen on Netflix, and in one episode, we see walruses on a tiny landmass smushed together because their land has melted, and now they must adapt to their new environment. The clip explains that walruses must swim 100 miles to get food and then return to their new home exhausted. The worst part is on that land there is a cliff where hundreds of thousands of walruses lie. Some may fall off the cliffs, leaving dead walruses along the tiny coastline. This is all due to climate change, and it's because of us. If we open ANWR, the same thing will happen to these animals. And if there is damage to our animals, our ecosystem will be affected. Our ecosystem falls into 4 categories: provisioning, regulation, cultural, and supporting services. For example, food production, water regulation, soil formation, and fertility and recreation and tourism. But that is only to name a few. If damage is done, then we will see health impacts such as new diseases, climate instability, loss of medicinal sources, and food insecurity. Now I ask you to answer this question from the beginning of my speech. Why are we risking one of Earth's last untouched wild places, and is it worth it? So maybe drilling can bring in benefits for people, but at what cost? We see the pros and cons, and at the end of the day, we will suffer from what we've done to our world. And if we continue to let people destroy what the earth has given us since the start of humanity, there will be no more ecosystem. There will be no more us. If you sign this pledge, not only are you helping ANWR, but you're also helping yourself, the people around you, and most importantly, the world. Thank you.